All right, welcome in on this Wednesday to a Radical Goal Getters Live. My name is Aaron Montgomery, and you can find me at rsuccessgroup.com. And you can also find what we're doing over at radicalgoalgetters.com. So, as you can tell, I am don't have the energy, the amazing Addy next to me today. She is a little under the weather and wasn't able to make it in today, but not to worry. You guys don't have to listen in just to me here for this 30-minute segment where we talk about masterminding and just about achieving our goals. You know, how can we do that? It's a discussion, really. So if you guys are tuned in live, I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, what your questions are, what's holding you back, right? What's keeping you from getting where you want to go? And so I'm having those discussions is what I'm all about. But like I said, not to fear, I have a special guest joining me here in just a little bit. And I'm going to leave that a secret here for a second so you guys can get excited. And so anyhow, like I said, Radical Goal Getters is all about talking about how we get to where we want to be, right? And yes, there's a lot of different ways to do that. Yes, there's a lot of different strategies to kind of achieve our goals or whatever that is to you. I mean, it could be something like, hey, I need to lose a little bit of weight, or hey, I need to increase my movement, or hey, I want my business to be more successful, right? These are all our dreams and aspirations, but it's about kind of picking out what is most important to you right now, and then how can we turbocharge that? Right. We can slog at it. We can work really hard. We can drag ourselves kicking and screaming at times, right? When it doesn't really work out, we can do all those things and 100%, but why, right? When we don't have to. There's no reason to do that necessarily. We can make choices, right? And this is where it kind of becomes important is we have to choose to invest in ourselves. We have to choose to surround ourselves with the right people. We have to make these choices. A good friend of mine and actually one of our guests here, Tanya Deutscher, she talks about choose and using choose and making choices. And so we'll probably talk a little bit about that today. But so I want to get our guest in here, but before we do that, I do want to just give you one last chance because groups are actually starting next week. So this is your last opportunity here to bet on yourself, to say, hey, I can get somewhere if I have the support that I need. And this is going to allow you to get that support. So going to radicalgoalgetters.com, but I put together a little promo about it just to kind of give you more concise details. So let me play that real quick and then we'll get back here with our guest. Do you feel like you've spent countless hours and thousands of dollars trying to achieve your goal and are still spinning your wheels? Do you feel like you're not achieving your important goals due to a lack of support or accountability? You need a facilitated, transformative mastermind group. Not just any old mastermind group, but one that's facilitated by certified Success Principles coaches. Stop being trapped in the cycle of stagnation and join a group of high-achieving individuals raising each other up. Visit radicalgoalgetters.com to apply for your spot today. It's time to achieve your number one goal for 2023 and set yourself up for a successful 2024. You will achieve a goal you had a hard time believing was possible and find a community of support and accountability that will lead to more self-confidence. There are only 5 available time slots and each group is limited to 6 people. Groups are forming the week of August 7th. Head to radicalgoalgetters.com now. All right. Well, if you need to go and head over to radicalgoalgetters.com now, I will totally understand that, or go bookmark that and head over there after we get done with this conversation. But, I posted this comment and I'll paraphrase it because I don't remember exactly what I wrote. But the thought that I was having at the time is, I love being around success-minded people. I love being around people that want to improve their lives because they know that that's going to then in turn improve the world around them, right? Their family, their community, their everything, right? The world maybe potentially. But we've got to start here first. We got to start internal. And so I love being around those people. But what I really love, right? You want to take that to the next level. I love being around action takers. I love being around the people that don't just talk about it. They actually start doing something about it. And again, starting with investing in a program like this or whatever, right? I really honestly don't care if Radical Goal Getters is not what you feel is the right thing for you. But I want you to be taking actions, right? So again, not that I don't care, that sounds a little rough, but you're not going to hurt my feelings if this isn't right for you. But if you're sitting there going, oh, I'm waiting for something to happen to me, stop doing that, right? Reach out to me. Let me know how we can, like it says in my little tagline down there, inspire you to love your business. So, all right, I could sit here and talk for a long time, but we really want to get my guest in here. So my guest today is Miss Becky Kutzer, and I think I got it right. So yes, I don't know why I make that so hard on myself, but we'll talk about that in a second. So I want to get Becky in here, and Becky is doing a lot of great things. BK Custom 605. We'll get Becky in here right now if I get the right things. There we go. Welcome in, Becky. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Aaron. I'm glad to be here. Sorry to hear that Addie's not feeling well. So I was looking forward to talking to her.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you'll get a chance to very soon. So, Addy is, as those of you that have seen some of these other videos or just seen her out in the social media world, just energy that is contagious. So I'm trying to bring my energy, but I'm not going to be anywhere close to what Addy does for us. So, Becky, for those people that maybe don't know you yet, that they're just getting to know you a little bit here, kind of give me the Becky 101. What is it that you're doing right now? And kind of tell us a little bit about your journey to get here.
Sounds good. So I started a business back in 2018. I started just doing t-shirts. I'd bought myself a Cricut for Christmas and thought, oh, I'm going to make some paper cards. And after the first piece of paper stuck to the mat, I was like, nope, this isn't going to happen. Not at all. And so from there, I had kind of had some of the heat transfer vinyl on hand. And so we worked with that. And it really just kind of morphed from that. Everybody was like, hey, can you do this? And of course, I said yes, whether I kind of knew if I could do it or not, but we figured it out. So it started with a very humble beginning there. And now we have moved into, I have done some sublimation. I'm actually phasing that out of my business right now as I decided to jump into the deep waters of direct to film. And that would have probably been, kind of look back at the dates to figure that out, but in that late 2019, early 2020, into that year, I would have started doing some research and then dove in and started buying the little desktop printers and started converting myself, actually. And if anybody that has done that, you're really at the mercy of those that are on Facebook that are willing to help you. And I really did find a lot of people that were willing to jump in at 10 o'clock at night, because of course that's usually when things would go wrong.
Sure,
so
of course.
Yep. So we converted several of those, and from there had then decided to jump into the commercial end. So I am now running a 24-inch wide format commercial direct to film printer. So with that, I have the retail side, which is the BK Custom Tees, and I do a lot of local stuff between my hometown and that area, along with where I currently live. Have quite a few businesses and different things. I like to work with the businesses and brand the businesses, the organizations, anything to help them earn some money for their club or their organization. I can do the web stores, and that really seems to work well for them. Awesome. And then on the flip side, we have the 605 Customize. And so that is where, if you are a small business such as I am, and you're looking to up your business, ramp it up a little bit, I guess, you have a little bit way to offer some new items, you can order your transfers directly from me. I don't have a lot of the preset transfers and designs out on my website. I've found that most people prefer to just order what they have or what they're designing for, or what they have their customers ordering for. So that is where I'm at with that. So
that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you said a couple things in there that I want to highlight. First and foremost, I love that where your progression has taken you, and because it is interesting. I was actually talking to a young lady at a local event last weekend here where I live in St. Louis, and she is a lot like where you started, right? Got the Cricut, really trying to figure out how to build a business, and she's kind of in and out of it, but she's heard a lot of this, the DTF talk, DTF. And as I was sitting there talking to her, she's like, yeah, I'm trying to save up so I can get a DTF machine. And I said, why? And she was like, what? And I'm like, just order the DTF transfers, right? I gave her your information. I said, why do that to yourself? Why go through this big, huge learning curve when what you're trying to do is offer these products to your customers, build up to that, someday, if you're ready to get your own equipment, that's fine, but you'll know a lot more about the market, what's needed and stuff like that. And so I think a lot of times we try to take these big, huge leaps, and like you talked about, right? You've got to be willing to try it. Right. I'm sure you've changed plenty of print heads, got ink all over yourself. The
all over
trial
the floor,
and
all over the
error.
clothes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. All those
Yes.
things. I mean, just unbelievable what that trial can do. And so that takes a lot of willingness and patience. And when you're trying to build a business at the same time, that can always be a challenge. So finding people that have done it, that have been doing it like yourself, I think is so crucial. And then one other thing that stuck out around that exact same thought theory is that try it, right? Being willing to try it, being willing to ask the question, being willing to be open to advice, but then also wading through that advice, right? I'm sure at 10 o'clock when you were having problems, you may have gotten some advice that was well-meaning, but probably didn't solve your problem. So how did that come about? What part of your personality allows you to kind of wade through that stuff and still be willing to try things?
Well, honestly, I know teachers back in high school probably would tell you the same thing, but I'm not afraid to ask a question.
That's awesome. I love it.
If I go out and we're looking for something, I don't want to walk around a store and just waste time trying to find it. I'm going to find the nearest associate. I'm going to ask. There's just, everybody has the knowledge, and most people are willing to share it.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing I found, is you definitely ran into some people that would, kind of snip at you and go, well, you should already know this, or you should know this. And then you'll have the next person that'll send you a Facebook Messenger request and say, what do you got going on? What can I help you with? Okay, here's what I've done. Have you tried this? And walk you through the steps. And that was always amazing to me. And I always tried to make sure, and I hope those that did reach out and help me, I hope they knew and know that I was extremely grateful for their time. Because I know there was a lot of phone call messages or phone calls and stuff, and you get off and you're like, oh, we've been on the phone for an hour and a half. Okay. But you have to ask the questions. And if you think the answer is going to be no, well, if you don't ask, the answer is no. So if you ask, it'll always be no. So you have to ask. And that's I want to try to help those small business, similar to that person that you were talking to last week. Those are the people that I can relate to. Been there, done that. I also agree. Don't jump into a printer. I did. There's been a lot of sweat. There's been a lot of tears. There's been a lot of frustration. There's been highs and lows. I mean, the printer is amazing when it runs, but just like any technology, as soon as it's done, as soon as it decides it doesn't want to work that day, it's not going to. And I know I just had someone tell me the other day, we were talking printers, and he goes, if people are looking to buy a printer, they need to be ready to buy two, because if one goes down, you're stuck. So what do you do? And I've been there. I only have one. That's where I'm at. And if mine goes down, I have a network of people that I reach out to and I order transfers from. And that's the way it works. So, and that's, we always try to work back and forth that way. So
Sure. Well, I think, just for folks that are tuned in, right, that are coming to say, okay, how do I get from where I am to where I want to be? There's a ton that you can take out of that. I wanted to put this comment up from Tanya, and Becky is absolutely wonderful, top-notch customer service. But it takes kind of figuring that out. Okay, how am I going to provide this top-notch customer service when my machine goes down, when, these things. And so a couple of things that I wanted to talk about there, like I said, that we can take out of this when we're thinking about getting from where we are to where we want to be, is that being willing to ask questions. I know way too many small businesses that just, like we have people inside of our success group community, for example, that they're like, oh, I didn't want to bother you. I'm like, bother me, please. You're not going to bother me, first and foremost, but and when we can finally have that connection and we can help, then it's, it fills me up too, so it's almost like, you're taking away from me by not asking me. And so thinking about that side of it, right? And then being intentional about letting go of the people that were snipping at you or whatever, and then looking to the people that are willing to help, being grateful for that, and kind of finding what your balance is, what worked for you. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? How were you intentional about that?
So I fought it for quite a while. I can do this. Where do I want my business to go? My husband and I talk. He is the silent partner of the business. He
Yeah. Yeah.
he does not have anything to do with my day to day, but he is always there when I'm needing to vent or talk or discuss where we need to go next. And I had started in a different women's business group, and it got a little bit too big for me. It was, I guess I'm not sure exactly how to explain it, but it was just, I wasn't getting everything out of it that I needed.
Yeah.
And then Tanya and I, are extremely good friends and have gotten to be over the last few years here. And we're friends with Kylene. I guess I'm trying to go back to where all this started. I
Yeah,
met you
please.
at a DAC show in 2018, 2019. We were trying to decide what year that was.
Yeah, probably right around there. Yeah.
I remember you from that. You have probably no recollection of me, and that's totally fine. But I remember seeing you and Terry up, and you guys were doing sublimation 101 or something that day, and that's when I remember meeting you.
Yeah.
Tanya and Kylene had met somewhere along the line, and then we've just all kind of flowed in together. And and I had seen all of the Our Success Group stuff and the masterminding and the different stuff that you had going on, and I kind of fought it for a while. And then Tanya and I talked, and we both decided to talk to you, and then we jumped in. And I honestly, I can't see life without masterminding at this point. Yeah. I know I faltered initially for the first couple of months, just trying to kind of figure out where things were going. And once I started the 5 keys, was it the 5 keys or yes? Because the first part of that is finding the why. And once I found my why, it just kind of seemed like things clicked. And every time I read my why, it just, and even no matter which part of the business I'm looking at, it applies. And so that has been a huge part of the last few months for me. Looking forward to those calls every other Monday, keeping the connection's not the right word I'm looking for. Check-ins, being able to check in, have accountability. There's the word I was looking for. Having that accountability, when you're running a small business, 90% of the time, you are probably doing it by yourself. Yeah. I mean, I have the support of my family and all that, but I am here during the day by myself. Yeah. And so to have that accountability through our Slack messaging system and other people to reach out to. And I know I'm probably been one of those ones that have said, I'm sorry, Aaron, I don't mean to bother you. And it wasn't so much that I was worried what you would think if I bothered you. It was just like, I know your time. I knew what you had going on and stuff. But I also, I've become more comfortable with reaching out through there too. And hope that I can help somebody also in that point if they're reaching out in that mastermind. So our Success Group and the Masters of Success have been huge with the goal setting, manifesting. Aaron has got an amazing thing that we do quarterly. We've been doing it quarterly.
Yep, that's the goal. Yep.
With the Future You parties, and the first one I attended, I was like, oh, this is kind of weird. Not gonna lie,
it feels super
really
weird.
Sure where we're at. But honestly, the second one when we did it, it was so cool to say, okay, July of 2025, I'm gonna be sitting by the lake, and Kylene has got a yoga session going, and we're gonna be doing these, all these things or whatever, and so it was really fun to forward think and have that future glance of what and where we want to be. So
and that can be so important for us because the more clarity we get there, because honestly, if you think about this, right, if you step back from your day-to-day grind and you think about, okay, what do I really want out of my future? And when you have that there, if you allow it, it will act as a magnet. I mean, it will drag you there, whether you, regardless of what you do along the way, it's going to drag you there if you have enough clarity about it. And that's what the point of things like the Future You party is. Like you said, at first it's super weird. Like, I'm acting as if we're 5 years down the road and I'm going to talk about all the amazing things that I've done. It makes me feel uncomfortable. Exactly. It's supposed to, right? But when you do that, then, because when I have to sit, let's say Becky and I are doing that right now. If I have to sit here and tell Becky what I've accomplished over the last 5 years, guess what? I'm going to really figure out how I'm going to describe that to her. And then once I have that clarity, then that magnet becomes even stronger. So I love that that was beneficial for you. And I love that because it also takes people like yourself that are willing to play full out, right? You can show up at that and it's too much, too woo woo, too whatever. And guess what? You're going to get exactly that out of it. Too much, not enough. You're just not going to get anything out of it. But if you show up and are willing to play full out, and that's the same thing with the mastermind sessions, that I think that's why, you've been able to utilize it so quickly, is that you do show up, you do play full out, and it's pretty cool. So. All right. Well, let's hit a couple other things here. We're doing really good, and I appreciate you sharing all those things. So Betty, when we were talking about kind of doing it yourself, she said sometimes it isn't about doing it yourself. It isn't always the way you can make money because you lose too much time. And yeah, I think I get what you're saying there, Betty, and I agree with you. Becky, any kind of thoughts you want to kind of expand on from what Becky's comment or Betty's comment? You're Becky, she's Betty. Okay.
I do. I completely understand what Betty is saying. And that is where, to go back to the transfer side, that if I would go and add up the time I've spent with the printer, trying to figure out things, researching, reading, calling, all the things, where, maybe had I just started ordering transfers from somebody else at that point, maybe I wouldn't have jumped in. Maybe it would have been smarter. But for anybody, I mean, my process here when I talk to people about DTF transfers is, there's all these questions like, how much are you doing a month in DTF, in shirts or apparel or whatever you're putting them on, what does it look like for you to, because there is kind of I don't know the number right off the top of my head to say, if you do this many dollars in sales a month, then you could probably account for having a printer.
Yeah.
You just have to remember that they're not plug and play. It's not like you're plugging in a laser printer and it's going to just print and you're going to be ready to go.
Yeah.
Inks play into it. Honestly, your humidity and your temperature inside your shop or your office and outside. I went from having a super, super cold winter to now we are in extremely heat, a lot of heat, and even all of that plays into it. So I honestly say, if you can't afford a $25,000 to $30,000 printer, order transfers. That's what we're here for, and even there's times when a screen print transfer makes more sense than a direct to film transfer.
Yeah.
And those are the things that I like to try to dive down into with people to find out what is it you're trying to accomplish, what's going to be the best route for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And that plays back into the top-notch customer service that Tanya had pointed out before, right? It's about educating. It's about educating our customers. Right. So yes, you're providing a service where you could potentially make a profit, but somebody that has a strong why, somebody that has that reason and really understands where they're headed, those two things aren't like, it's not about, I've got to sell you something. It's about, how can I educate you? And if I can provide a service, great. Otherwise, I will, like you said, maybe screen print transfers are better, and I'll send you to somebody that I know, like, and trust there. Maybe you are ready to have your own piece of equipment, and I can tell you what I did, right? And so, and people get that, right? I think sometimes we think, customers are, but they're just like us, right? That our customers are just the same people as we are, and we can smell it when we're being kind of taken advantage of, saying, "Oh yeah, just do this," right? It shows up, right? And people have a lot of questions, and things are really vague and don't make a lot of sense, right? I've seen some of that around our industry a lot, but anyhow, so I could go for a long time on that, but I love that tip, that point there, and. Guys, if you do want to check it out, you head over to 605customize.com. So it's the number 605 and then customize.com. Sandy says, I really have come to love the Future You parties. She's part of the Masters of Success program there. So that's awesome. I love that. All right. Well, we've got about 5 minutes left here, Becky. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, so when I announced with Addy that we're doing the Radical Goal Getters, you and I had some conversations about that, had at least one really big conversation about it. So what drove you to be interested in Radical Goal Getters?
So I'm looking, because Aaron has suggested
I'm
that
inspiring, Becky. Let's go there.
Inspiring. Okay, we'll call it inspiring. Through masterminding with the Masters of Success, through our success group, I've been starting to look at the future you parties to say, where do I want to be in 2 years? What 5 years? What do I want to be doing?
Yeah.
And I see a lot of how Aaron is doing things and want to be a part of that. I want to be the one helping those small businesses. I want to coach them into those things. So the radical goal-getters side of masterminding for me is looking to see what and how that would look like 2 years from now, to use that to push forward and see, first of all, just try to see what it is I need to do to get to that point. So that's nice. The goal for 2 years that at the last Future You party was that I would be coaching, nice, as Aaron does. So
I love it. I love it. I love it. Man, that just excites me beyond belief. My heart's pumping out of my chest right now with excitement. So, all right. Well, I think the one thing though that I've really noticed from you that I've been so impressed with is once you were able to put some language to what we've talked about it quite a bit here, the why, the reason, whatever you want to call it, right? Your mission statement. People have lots of different terms for it. But once you start putting some language to that, right? It's not that it does something like specific, but it gives you, I don't know, to me, it like opened up my field of vision, right? That's what it did for me. But what about for you? And before you kind of explain that, can I put you on the spot slightly? And you don't have to say it word for word, but share with us what your reason, your why is.
I actually wrote it down, and I need to have it. I want it in the fun, creative format, because that's who I am.
You are, yeah.
So my why came about, and Aaron helped a lot. He walked me through. I think he had it probably way before me, but he walked me through, held my hand through all of it, and that helped tremendously to get to that next step. So my why states: supporting communities by developing creative solutions and personalized service that are appreciated for years to come. And I will tell you that I looked at it and I loved it. I absolutely loved it once we got it to that point. And yet we hung up from that call and I went, okay, how does this really play into what I'm doing? It was like, I get it, but yet do I see it? And yet I do. The retail side of my business for the shirts, I'm supporting my community by creating shirts and bringing that service. Same with the transfers. And when I said it to my sister, there was not any hesitation. She's like, yep, that's exactly you. Tanya said the same thing. Kylene said the same thing. I mean, so that really drove it home that I hit the nail on the head, and it is what it is. It is exactly what it is. And as soon as I looked at that and the whole thought of coaching came out, I looked back at my why, and it encompassed all of it for me. And so it really has opened up and made that horizon be wide and tall, and all the things to encompass, and to see that the future is not just in this narrow little hallway. It's, we have a ways, a long ways to make that happen. So
yeah. I think that's so cool that it opens up, because you had said, that maybe I had it before you did, but see, that's why for me, I was able to work with somebody to kind of uncover mine a little bit better. And I think I was probably in a very similar boat to what you were, is we get so close to it that it's just because it's not something we're creating. So that's really important for people to understand. It's not something that we create. It's something we uncover. It's something we kind of put language to. And so somebody from the outside looking in can talk to you in some very specific ways and kind of go, yep, okay, I can see the parts and pieces, because I don't have this big, huge forest in front of me. I'm just seeing the whole big map, right? But it is also then important to kind of go, let you get there, because I could also be putting my perspective into the middle of it. So there's a very strategic way. And I was fortunate enough to go through that. I've been able to go through that with you, and I can't wait for you to uncover somebody else's with them, right? And just kind of be building onto that. And then it really helped. Go ahead, Becky. Yeah. Sorry. No.
I think the biggest thing for me was, the question is, what's your why? Well, my why was so I could have flexibility with my family. I wanted to do, all those kind of things. And yet those are reasons why to do things, but that is not why I'm, that's not who I am for what I'm doing. I mean, those are things that I want to have as a, a bonus,
Yeah.
and the businesses have allowed it. They have allowed me to take
Yeah.
time off to go to baseball games, be home with the sick kids, all those things. But this just shows so many things of what my passion comes into, whether it's making a shirt, whether it's creating a logo, whether it's, branding that business. And now as we look forward to, learning what that'll be to be able to coach others that started out where I'm at and get that.
Yeah. And once you, that's so amazing, because once you have that, right, once you have that kind of understanding, and I love what you said, right, that those things that we originally think are our why are great, but honestly, we don't spend enough time to go deep enough to get down to what the core of what it is. Those are just the effects, right? These are the bonuses of being able to live into what your purpose is, what you were put on this earth to do. But then once you dig down into it, then yes, that opens up a world of possibilities where I can do this. But it also then gives me a really awesome guardrail to say, okay, I've thought about this coaching thing. Do I want to do it? Okay, maybe. But how do I judge whether this is really something worth pursuing? Well, does it fit into my why? If yes, pursue it. If no, great idea, set it off to the side. Right. So having that guardrail to also make decisions by can make things a lot more easy and honestly fun, right? And we're not having to worry about it. Like, okay, let's just trust it and go with it and see where this leads us. That's way more fun than constantly worrying about what's next. So,
right.
Yeah. All right. Well, gosh, you've got me all fired up and passionate here. We've gone a little bit into bonus time, but if anybody has any questions of me or Becky, please feel free to pop them in the comments here, because I do want to close with one more thing here. What has been like? Okay, I'm going to put you into a little bit of the future you party situation here, just slightly, and I promise it'll be super easy. But let's just envision yourself, whatever, 2 years down the road, tomorrow, whenever that is, and you're coaching somebody to kind of help them move themselves forward, living inside of your why, doing the things that are part of your why. What do you think might be your number one piece of advice that you'd give somebody?
Ooh.
I told you I was not going to do this to you, but you did so darn good. I had to test you a little bit.
It is back to the asking the questions and digging into finding that why. And honestly, I would say if you can work it into your system, into your initial, when you're looking at starting a business, if you're brand new, it seems like it's something that's maybe out of reach or something you don't need right away. But yet, if you can do it, find a mastermind group, whether it's the Our Success group, whether it's the Radical Go-Getters, whether it's there's lots out there. There's lots of people out there to do that. I think the only thing I've probably regretted at this point is I hadn't done it sooner.
Nice. Nice. I love it. Excellent. Well, I cannot wait to continue masterminding with you through Masters of Success, and also getting to mastermind with you through the Radical Goal Getters. So you guys want to be a part of this. Again, we're starting up next week. So stay tuned for those of you that have applied. But if you haven't yet, you're running out of time here. So just earlier on, I talked about betting on yourself, and Stephanie from Caesar said, bet on yourself. Love it. So I got
invest in yourself. Yes.
Yeah, that's a good.
Very much so.
Yeah, Stephanie's pretty inspirational too. So I would listen to her. All right. Let's see here. Betty says, yes, you need support. Awesome. I love it. Okay. Becky, thank you so much. Really, really appreciate your time today. You were awesome. And we need to do this more often. So
thank you, Aaron. I'm working on getting my feet wet for this part. Yes.
Yeah. So. Well, hey, maybe there's a Becky and Aaron program out there somewhere too. I don't know. Who knows? One last comment so we can make you blush before you go here. Becky has come so far, and I'm so proud of her. So
thank you, Tanya. She's definitely pushed in a few aspects.
Awesome.
And I've needed it. So
yeah, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching. And Becky, thank you so much for being here, catching the replay. Put some comments in there. if you've watched this, share it with your friends. I think they're going to get a lot of inspiration out of this, and we can't wait to see where you guys go and how you're going to achieve your goals. So thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
Have an amazing day, guys.